Hopefully everyone is having a great 4th of July. Watch out for those M80s and get yourself an ice cold Budweiser. No daily puck drop today. We're taking a day off. We're relaxing with family and friends, but still had time this week to catch up with the great Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network for his weekly visit, which is brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance and, of course, Zogs on Fox Island. Enjoy, and we're going to see you on Monday. And remember, the go-to guy returns, Jim Moore, to make his debut on the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. Here's the thing about 4th of July. For some reason, I think it's a bigger deal on the East Coast than it is on the West Coast. And I'm going to assume something maybe I shouldn't. I'm going to assume that you've never done a 4th of July on the West Coast. You've never lived on the West Coast, right?
Never lived on the West Coast. Never done a 4th of July on the West Coast. No.
Okay. To me, my stereotype of the East Coast, Mike, would be that it's very, very patriotic. It's big parties. It's the white picket fences with the what do you call the little banners? What do you call that stuff? Like an opening day, they have them all around the baseball fields. The bunting. Yes, yeah. I feel it's like all of that and spark big parades and all these neighborhoods and all that kind of stuff. Am I tracking right on the East Coast celebration of 4th of July?
Yeah, that's about right. There's a lot of that. You don't get that out on the West Coast, really? I mean, maybe
really.
We're the original colonies. Does that have anything to do with it? Kind of like the NHL original 6?
I think so. I think it has something to do with that.
Interesting.
Because you know what you guys
it's not like we're still pissed at England or anything like that. It's not.
Well, speak for yourself. I am still. I hold a grudge.
It's not. We're far enough separated, and you guys have been part of the union. It's not like you just joined within your lifetime, right? Like we were all born Americans.
I know that, but I think here's what I think is. First of all, on the video, are you setting up the pool for the kids?
I don't understand. When I leave here, I set the thing to 75 degrees so that the heater doesn't run during the week when we're not here. I come back, and it's back up to where it was at 88 degrees. Like, who is touching? It's got to be the maintenance guys. They got to stop doing that.
Take it out on the maintenance people. That's what you want to do. People in power, we love to take it out on people that don't have as much power as us. So it's good for you.
I don't understand. Anyway, what was your question?
Here's what I think. Here's my working theory on this. Because you guys, you get to actually walk on the same ground as our forefathers were walking on, defeating the British. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blood was spilled on the ground that you walked.
Blood's been spilled, Jerry.
Yeah,
that's from.
Yeah. Which episode?
No, that's a movie. Blood's been spilled, Jerry. That's Fargo.
No. Oh, Fargo. Good call. Nice pull. Yeah, that's what I think the difference is. That's what I think it is.
It could be. Yeah. Sometimes what's amazing to me is it took us an hour and 40 minutes to get down here by car because there was some rubbernecking going on, which drives me nuts. I'm like, what? I thought it was traffic, and I'm looking on the Waze, and I'm saying, well, why is the traffic going to stop right here? And then when we get to that point, they were rubbernecking. I'm like, come on, guys.
What are they rubbernecking about? Was there an accident?
Yeah, there was an accident. But it's like you watch this stuff on TV and movies all the time. Like, come on now, you really need to see this.
How long should that drive actually take you?
An hour 20. So it costs us another 20 minutes. Anyway, my point is, I'm amazed at the founding fathers and the people who were involved in the war. Like, how did they get around so quickly? Or how did they have Boston and also all the way down to Virginia, right? Like, that must have taken them forever.
Can you
to get from one place to the other?
I'm telling you, I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Before the invention of the steam engine and the railways and the cars, can you imagine traveling?
I can, and that's why Washington was in Mount Vernon, and he was in Philadelphia, and he was in northern Jersey and New York. It's like I radius or circumference. The circumference of his circle is just. I don't understand how it could be so big. It must have taken him years to get from Massachusetts all the way to, and how did they know? Talk about the Revolutionary War. How did they know states away what the hell was happening? Like, I know the Paul Revere and all that. I get that part, but it must have taken them forever. And by the time they send the message, how the hell do they know it's still?
They know, like, hey, where are the red coats at? But by the time it gets to you, like, well, they couldn't be there anymore. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Do you ever think to yourself, could you have survived back then?
Well, I do believe in past lives, right? I think that's a thing.
So you would think you were in the war?
Well, I obviously didn't survive because I'm here now.
Hey, when you think about yourself in the past life, what are you? You a general? What are you?
I don't know.
What are you?
Well, I always think about a gnat is also a living thing, right? Why wouldn't you? Why do you always like? You may have been a gnat, a raccoon. Are you a tree? The trees have energy? Like,
okay, what were you? What do you think you were?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, you've thought about this.
No. I just think it's. Well, I do think, and I told my wife this, and she agrees. I think in a past life, she was the husband and I was the wife.
That feels like role playing.
No, don't take it. No, by the way, I haven't had anything to drink yet on my holiday weekend.
That feels
and
like.
this is the shit that I'm talking about. You guys
why don't you pretend to be the husband today?
You're terrible. Jesus.
Come on. I see. I'm opening myself up to you.
Of course,
you gotta.
Of course. I'd be massacred in the first battle. Like when they would go out, I'd be the first one there and just be gutted.
You're saying when I have survived the war.
Oh yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, no. I can't imagine when I watch movies and Maximus in Gladiator is killing dudes and he survives every single battle. I'm like, there's no way. The batting average, right, for a guy like that to have survived, it's no. I'd be, I'd be. You ever know when they open the boats on Saving Private Ryan in the first? That's me right there. So
it's just done. Or I always think about that scene in Saving Private Ryan. The guys that fall, they just start jumping off the side, but they have all their stuff on and they just drown. That'd be me.
It's pretty incredible. Well, yeah, when you watch that, I do remember. Not to make light of this, but I do remember Ted Koppel doing an interview when Private Ryan came out with a bunch of World War II Normandy vets. And the one guy it was a Purple Heart or some kind of Medal of Honor. And he said, he gave it to Ted Koppel and he said, you give this to Mr. Spielberg for the one guy getting it right. Because they show clips of the old war movies where the guy would be shot and the other guy would come up and check the pulse. And they're like, you didn't have to check the pulse when the head was just blown off, right? Like that was
right.
So it's for him to show that kind of stuff. Those guys appreciated it. But it's just amazing when you watch that and you see the way that guys are getting picked off left and right and they got the machine guns going and you're like, how did anybody get through? How did they ever advance? And it makes you appreciate it. Right? It makes you appreciate weekends like this where we're acting like idiots.
Yeah. How do you the fourth treats you how? How do you treat the fourth? What's your cocktail of choice? What's the food of choice on the fourth?
So I've been drinking a lot more beer lately because like we've got people coming. It's 3:30 now. We got people coming at 4:30, and they'll be here. I mean, the sun will be down, and I can't drink. Like I like to drink whiskey, but if I start drinking whiskey that long, I'm going to be on my ass. Matter of fact, Tom Pelissero came here last year to the house and put me on my ass. I threw up for the first time from drinking alcohol, and I can't tell you how long. And it's I went to bed. He was making the drinks, and it's very rare that somebody comes over where I go, yeah, I'll have this or I'll have that, and I'll trust him to make it. A lot of times I have to be the one that makes the drinks. So he was making them. So they were coming. They were coming. I didn't have to, and I have big rocks glasses that he was using, and an ounce in the rocks glass looks like that, right? So he was pouring it to probably 5-6 ounces, and so I just bought see, the problem is now when I drink the beer though, I drink the IPAs, which are the heavy hitters, and it's like you can't drink a whole lot of those either. So
You dial it back and get yourself a light beer. Then it's a nice summer drinking, and you drink a bunch of them.
It feels like a waste of liquid when I start drinking. I don't enjoy it. It really doesn't get me. You're right. Like, that's how you stay. The only time I'll drink light beer is when I'm at an NFL event, Combine, Senior Bowl, something like that, where you have to be out and drinking, and you're doing it, and you don't want to be an embarrassment, right? So light beer will keep you in the game, because I have tried to do it hard liquor and heavier stuff, and that has not ended well either. So.
Okay, well, just make that transition over to the. When do you make the transition on 4th of July to the brown water?
To the brown.
6 o'clock, 7.
No, it'll be when the kids are down. Yeah, which may not be. So it'll probably. There'll be fireworks and stuff. So it'll probably be 8 o'clock hour. Right.
Okay. How does the East Coast do the fireworks? I mean, we still full on game here, West Coast, because we're so concerned about the fires and everything that's going. And I'm not making light of that. I'm just saying that's a lot of these West Coast cities now will do the drones, right? It won't be actual fireworks. I would assume over there, and kind of in rural America. I mean, we're banging things off left and right, aren't we?
Yeah, it's not like Florida, right? Like Florida is just. I've been down there for a 4th of July in Miami, and it's just like every local dude's got his own little fireworks show.
Yeah, he does.
So, and they've had signs. We've been driving around. They've had signs that said, remember, aerial fireworks are illegal. They'll sell stuff here that doesn't leave the ground, but anything aerial is illegal. The neighbor used to do a big show here where they have a big party, and he would actually line them up. If you could see the length of the water.
Yeah.
And he would line them up and tie them all together and just light one fuse and just boom, 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 and it would go on for like 20 minutes. He'd be setting it up for like 4 hours, right? Missing his entire party just to set it up. But that's what he does. That's really. But the year that we were redoing our house here, we just had the pilings up, and he was doing it, and he said a cop came in, and he stood in the middle of the pilings, and he was watching the whole thing go, and he said he thought he was just enjoying the show. And then when he was done, he came over and he wrote him a ticket. So he got ticketed for that one. I forget, it was a couple $100.
Okay.
But that spooked him. So he'll only light off a couple, not long enough for anybody to come over and see where they're coming from.
Okay. We are in the dog days of football right now with training camp. I mean, really, probably the next time we talk to you or the next couple of visits, we'll start getting into training camp, but not a lot going on right now. I mean, you're relaxing. Everybody's kind of relaxing right now. We're a few weeks away from guys getting there. What's the latest? I've seen some more news, come out here with the 49ers in Brandon Aiyuk, and he seems to be kind of changing his tune a little bit, saying, "Oh no, it's great. I want to be back there." Where are we at with that? Do you think they resolve this before camp opens up, or does this drag throughout training camp?
I would say no. I wouldn't say 100% no, but they had that meeting. He requested it. Both sides got some things off their chest from what I gather, but it wasn't a negotiation. It was a conversation. And so they're no closer to a deal right now, but they're going to go their separate ways, vacation for the 4th, come back, and then try to reboot it at that point. It's got to be closer to, and the numbers have been reported out there. Mike Silver, my former colleague at NFL Network, now at San Francisco Chronicle, he reported that Aiyuk's offer was somewhere around $26 million. That second tier of wide receivers is at $28 million. The top tier being in the 30s. Justin Jefferson setting the market 35. So he knows he's not 35, but at the same time he's saying, well, why are these other guys getting 28 and I'm at 26, right? And the structure of the deal doesn't sound like it's in line with what those other guys are getting. So I would say the 49ers made a mistake by one, not offering the right number and not doing it quick enough. So he saw all these deals get done. He's like, wait a minute, why would I slot in a deal all the way down here? So that's where they are right now. I think he's fully capable of going back there, playing out the year, and then being a free agent after the year. I don't think it's to the point where there's any kind of animosity that would prevent him from doing that. But the question in his mind has got to be, well, how does that change my usage? Because that's what they would do in New England. They haven't done it in San Francisco. I don't want to make it sound like they do it. But in New England, they would.
You're in a wind tunnel. How windy is it there on the?
It's not. But these things don't. I can't find the other ones, and these things don't. Let me get rid of it.
Funny. I was like, man, it's going to be a hell of a 4th of July show. People firing off fireworks left and right. They're going to be blowing into people's houses, man.
No. Here we go. So this will be better here for you.
There you go.
So yeah. I think they'll try to get something done before the start of training camp. I just don't know that's going to happen.
Hey, how would surprised or not surprised with that ruling that came down with the antitrust lawsuit with DirecTV? Boy, that's a lot of money. Jesus.
Yeah, that is a lot of money.
You think the teams are going to have to honestly pay all of that?
No, it's going to go through the appeals process, and you can get it knocked down or some kind of, settlement. I don't get into legal aspects of things that I don't understand, but I know that when you get to this point, it drags on with the appeals process, so that slows it down. Maybe you get it knocked down completely. They're going to obviously fight it and do whatever they possibly can to get it down. But yeah, it does on paper. It's a lot of money.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The Jags, right? They got themselves a new stadium, or they're going to get themselves approved for a new stadium.
They are, and they got the public money to make it happen. Some communities, including Kansas City, have said no, have turned that down. Jacksonville. Listen, I mean, the Jaguars being starting as a franchise in Jacksonville was part of an initiative to help the city, right? So that's I think we've talked about this. I get it. I do get both sides of it. I get where the public goes, screw these billionaires. Why are we going to give them money? And I get where the billionaires go, our franchises help generate revenue and help the overall health of the city sometimes, certainly in this case. So I get both sides of it. I really do. And in this case, it seems like they're splitting it down the middle. So I guess that's supposedly fair.
Yeah. It's I guess it's sensitive. We went through it here with, it was a different sport. It wasn't the NFL, but it was the NBA. And it's just, I don't know. It's my tune. I'm kind of with you. My tune has changed over the years with that. Like, I think early on I was like, yeah, it should be kind of a public-private partnership. And I get that. But then also it's like, God, you just see how much, money these guys pull in, and you're like, wait a minute, why can't you afford that? When
you split the cost, you should split the profits, right? And if you go in all alone,
sure,
then you should be able to keep everything, right? But that's not always how this stuff works, and that's part of the negotiation, and that's part of what one side in the future is probably not going to be happy about, right? However it winds up splitting up going forward, they're never going to feel like they got enough out of it, either side. So I guess that's the best sign of a good negotiation, is when neither side feels like they got the good deal.
We've talked a lot about Jim Harbaugh coming back to the NFL. One thing that, he walks in a great situation with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has put up some good numbers, but he hasn't taken that next step, right? In that quarterback, I guess, pantheon of steps that these guys usually have to take. How big do you think this is going to be for him? I mean, he is a unbelievable talent, Mike, and it feels like we've barely scratched the surface of how good that he can truly be, and we know what the track record of what Harbaugh can do with these quarterbacks.
I think Jim Harbaugh's success as a head coach has been, and we had Denzel Perryman on, the linebacker, was on the Insiders with us on NFL Network one day, and he alluded to what I'm about to say, that the details, right? Like, Jim Harbaugh does a really good job of teaching the details. Tom Coughlin, when I covered him when he was the coach of the Giants, he did a great job of that. There are teams now that don't do a great job of that, and there's metrics that measure this stuff. I mean, I remember I think the Saints had a metric that it wasn't great, and I'm trying to remember the other team that I was looking at last year. Was it the Jaguars last year? I forget. That their metrics weren't great as far as their performance in clutch situations. And then I can go back to, Trevor Lawrence and trying to reach over the goal line, that fumble, and the critical mistakes that teams make at that time. So for Herbert, and the whole offense, I don't want to put it just on Herbert, but there were a couple of games last year. Was it the Cowboys game where it's just the calls that were being made and the decisions that were being made late, and it's just like you hung in there for 3.5 quarters, and now one team executed, and you did everything you could to not execute. So I think that's going to be something that's going to potentially help Justin Herbert and this offense again as a whole, because we've seen that from Harbaugh coach teams before, and they're poised in critical situations.
Who is we talked about this, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. This was after the God, now I'm blanking on the quarterback that just recently signed the extension.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, thank you.
Yeah.
Next in line, Tua and Love. Any traction, movement on either?
It sounds like I think both are going to get done, if not before training camp, early in training camp. It sounds like Tua and the Dolphins. I'm pulling the grill out, by the way. You're going to help me do this. Start pushing. Tua and the Dolphins have had good conversations recently. They continue to have talks, not to the point of like a deal is imminent, but it sounds like that there's at least been good conversations. So, yeah, that to me feels like one that's going to get done like just when he reports to training camp. But that's just my educated hunch on that one. And then Love is going to get done. I mean, Love's going to get done this summer. And I think I've told you it's probably top of the market or close to top of the market. I still believe that.
John Gruden lost his bid in the Nevada Supreme Court to reconsider his contract interference lawsuit against the NFL. Do you think he ever coaches in the league again?
I do. I think he's done a decent job. Hold on. Getting with you here. I think he's done a decent job of showing that he's genuinely remorseful. We've seen a couple of clips of him where he's had those conversations. We've had teams that have brought him in, with the Saints considering at some point to make him an offensive coordinator, but he's also worked with Derek Carr. So I just feel like teams are starting to put their toe in the water, and a lot of times that leads to – and maybe he comes back as an OC first, right? Maybe he's got to do that, take his lumps from an image standpoint in that regard, and then all of a sudden you're around for a little bit and people start to you rebuild your image and show people what you're really about, and then people can accept you as potentially a head coach again. So, yeah, as I stand here right now, you asking me if he's going to coach again, head coach again, I think so, yes.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. Hey, let me ask you a different sport, but I wonder if this would ever fly in the NFL. You think it would ever fly in the NFL if there was a potential father-son duo and an agent, whoever a prominent NFL agent is, starts telling people on the day of the draft, if you draft so-and-so, he will not come to the NFL. He's going to go to the XFL, so don't draft him. So he can go to the L.A. Rams to play with his dad.
No, I don't think so. It's so much harder to do that in the NFL than it is in the NBA. It's a player-driven league in the NBA. There was thought that Jaden Daniels was going to force his way out of Washington, and the Commanders not draft him, and the Commanders didn't blink at all, right? And then there was the whole talk of that. Regardless whether it was or not, I know for a fact the Commanders were never blinking in that regard. So that's kind of how teams are going to operate from that standpoint.
Last thing for you, where are we at? Are we anywhere, or do you think we get anywhere this year? When does it work? Potentially of Seattle talking to DK Metcalf and his people about a new deal.
How many years do you have left off the top of your head? Do you know?
I'm just pulling it up right now. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna pull it up. I should have been prepared for it as I was asking you a question about it.
That's fine.
He is unrestricted free agent, 26, so 2 years left.
2 years left. Yeah. I listen. I think it's going to be how does he jive with this new regime? Sounds like everything's cool from the start of things. Sounds like the vibes are really great across the board out there in Seattle.
That's good.
So I think you'll have that continue in the training camp, and then at some point you'll start playing games, and then we'll see about the realities of everything. But it sounds like it's off to a good start there, and if he performs well, then you go into the final year of the deal, and I would think that there would be a push at that point if it's that long before anything is addressed. Because I know his agent, I know how he's done things. He's got A.J. Brown. He just redid that one in Philadelphia. He's going to want to get something done there. So, yeah, I would think that if it's not done by the time we get into the early part of the offseason, that'll be something that'll be a push for his side for sure.
All right, go enjoy your 4th. Enjoy time with your family and friends. Maybe hit that light beer up. Don't get into that brown water, I think, earlier than you want. And just, let's take the night where you want it to take you, okay?
Listen, I don't plan for it to take me much farther than this 40 by 100-foot lot that we've got right here. I hope this thing. By the way, you see that grass on there? We got to get that fixed. That's
yeah. That's
well,
what you should do? I got a guy. I got a guy that can probably come out there and help you.
You got a guy? You're going to tell a guy from Jersey that you got a guy?
I got
Now here's the problem we've got here. So we've got.
You know what you need? You need synthetic turf.
No.
Turf Northwest. Do it.
We're supposed to. We've got that at our house up north, but down here. So this is a drainage pipe that you can see right here.
Yeah.
And it's just there's not enough soil to hold the water here. And then with the pool that we just put in, they put in some stuff. So I got to get the guy to come back out here and see if he could put enough sod and enough soil to hold it. Because I've got the sprinkler, and that does nothing. Because it's just you can water it and come back in a half an hour and it looks bone dry again. So it's just not holding the water. This strip is okay. We're okay over here.
Okay.
Because there's enough soil over here and they didn't put anything underneath. But here they put everything underneath. It screwed me up.
You're the best. Enjoy the 4th. Thank you for doing it, and we'll talk to you next week. Mike Garafolo brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance and also Zogs on Fox Island. Thanks, Mike.
Stay safe, everybody.